I uploaded a video, and it only took me 4 months as opposed to 5 this time? Huh, I must be getting better at this. It's been about a week since Hollow dropped on Steam. For reference, I'm recording this on April 5th. Hopefully it goes up on the 6th, maybe the 7th, depends on how I want to do editing for this. But yeah, it's been about a week since the game dropped, and I've been playing it on and off for the past week. I was very excited when this game was announced because I really like Holocure, and finding out that the guys behind that were going to be making a beat 'em up that was going to have online multiplayer and the like, that's really exciting. Now that I've spent a week playing, there are issues I've found in terms of how the game's designed. To be clear, I don't think this game is bad at all, but I think there are design choices that really hinder what this game's potential is and what it can do. And I kind of just wanted to talk about that. But before getting into it, I want to just have a little bit of a disclaimer here. One, this is a fan game, you know? Yes, it's part of Holo Indie, which kind of gives it maybe an air of being more official than other things, but it is fundamentally a fan game. It is a passion project made by fans for fans. Two, this game has been getting regular updates over the past week. Just small stuff, bug fixes, implementing various things that fans have mentioned on the Steam page to help make the gameplay a bit smoother. So it is possible that a lot of these problems are that I list may not be there by the time you play it. So keep that in mind. You know, updates are coming, things might change. The game will the game will more than likely be in a much better state when you play it as opposed to when I was playing it. Three, and this is possibly the most important one, this game's free. You know, it 100% free. You don't have to spend any money on it, you don't have to do anything like that. You can just play the game right at the start. So if you are in any way interested in this game, just give it a shot. You lose nothing except however much time you feel like putting into it. So that's another thing. And fourth, I'm just not going to talk about multiplayer. I tried to do multiplayer via remote play because the main multiplayer hasn't been able to get work. Good English. The main multiplayer isn't working at the time of recording this. They are trying to get it finished soon. Hopefully it will be, but right now it's not. And remote play just isn't viable, unfortunately. If you've got a good enough connection and you're close enough together with who you want to play with, maybe it'll be fine. But for me, when I tried it, it unfortunately just didn't work. Just wasn't a stable connection at all. Thanks again, Robin, for trying to play it with me. I appreciate that. But yeah, not gonna talk about multiplayer because, you know, it would be unfair to judge it based off of remote play. That's just not a fair comparison. With that being said, let me get into the things that I have basically no complaints about. No real major complaints about. This game looks amazing, and it sounds amazing. I love the visual look of it. It is bright, it is colorful. I like all of the background elements where you see various livers, you've got various references to past streams and the like. It's cute, it's nice. I like it. I especially like Ollie's head just being on a beach and you can just carry it with you and reattach it to her head. I like that. I think that's really cute, personally. I think the only real-ish criticism I would have, and it's not really criticism, it's just more of something I wish, is that I wish there was a bit more. After stage 3 and going into stage 4 and 5, those background elements just kind of stop. They just disappear. I think there's one in stage 5, but then that's it. and that is a bit disappointing. I wish there was a bit more, but that is like the most minor of shit. It is not that big of a deal. This game still looks great regardless. Second thing, sound design. I think all the sound effects are good. They're punchy. The voice work is nice. Maybe I'm not the best judge because I don't speak Japanese, but I think everybody did a really good job with their voice work. And the music is great too. I believe it's all just remixed Hololive songs, but Hololive songs on average aren't bad. No, I really don't care what Twitter has to say. I think most of the time they do pretty good stuff. So yeah, no complaints there. Now we get into the more contentious issues. Let's start in terms of just my initial playthroughs. So I picked Polka first, and I had a pretty decent time up until the very end. I didn't have many issues, but once I got to stage 5, I sort of hit a brick wall because I didn't really understand how the equipment worked at the time and just how important upgrading was. So I got my ass kicked hard, and yeah, it wasn't that fun at the end. But I came back to it. I started to understand what I needed to do, what was required, and I did a second playthrough with Nene, and it was a much more comfortable thing. It's helped by the fact that Nene is a healer, so you can keep your allies and yourself at full health, which makes getting through stages a lot easier because there are a lot of enemies, and it feels like they put those fan allies in there to help deal with that fact quite a bit, because I think otherwise it would be a mess to deal with these enemies just solo. So I do appreciate that. Although I will say that I do have a small criticism about the fans, like the fan allies, but I'll get to that in a second. Right now, in concept, I like the idea. So yeah, that second playthrough was a lot easier once I understood how everything worked. First playthrough with Polka was about 2 hours, Nene was about 1:20. So yeah, not a terribly long game, pretty comfortable ride once you understood it. But as I was playing, and as I played more and more, and I tried using Gen 6 because you unlock them after you beat the game once, I started to notice just like the gameplay, while not bad, didn't feel like it was clicking. Like I understood what to do. I knew, like there was no cases of me getting confused with how like X mechanic worked. Like I understood all of it, but it wasn't hitting right. And I couldn't really figure out why. So I decided, well, maybe looking at a few other beat-em-ups would help me understand maybe it's missing something that those games have. So I looked up footage of other games, Castle Crashers, River City Girls, Scott Pilgrim, and I started to notice a few things about how those games worked that I realized Hollow Break wasn't doing. And I didn't want to just go off of what I saw on YouTube, obviously, because that might be a bit unfair. So I decided to try out a game, just maybe like a big game that everybody likes. People say it's a great beat 'em up, and that was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Shredder's Revenge. I spent some time playing that, just trying to learn everything and experience it, and I sort of realized, oh, this is, this game, like, the problem Hollow Break has is that its core gameplay loop, how the game is designed, like the core stuff you are doing with your character, is super shallow compared to what other games are doing. So to reference, just normally, what can you do in Hollow Break? Well, you have a dash ability well, I guess dash isn't the right word, it's a dodge to avoid attacks. You have a basic 5-hit combo, that's pretty normal. You've got 3 different special abilities that only one of them though has invincibility. The other 2 you can be knocked out of, which is annoying. and you can pick up and throw objects. So that's, you know, that seems pretty standard. That seems like a decent amount of stuff you can do. And alongside that stuff, you've also got different sub-weapons that can help you deal with stuff. You have the BL books, which create coverage. You've got Kiara's sword, which can deal fire damage. Bombs you can put down to lead enemies into, or just ambush someone if you know where the respawns are. But let's just compare and contrast, because in Shredder's Revenge, you've got a lot of that stuff. You've got the basic combo, you have a dodge roll, you have special abilities, but you can also jump in Shredder's Revenge. You have a dodge roll, yes, but you can also then dodge and immediately do a counterattack after that launches you at the enemy. You have a dash in Shredder's Revenge. You have dash attacks in Shredder's Revenge. You have an uppercut move that launches your opponent into the air. You can attack in the air. You can grab and throw an enemy. And I need to point out that all of these moves, all these mechanics in Shredder's Revenge can be linked together and comboed into each other, you know, to lead to max damage. The point I'm trying to make is that you have options in Shredder's Revenge. You have a lot more options in your base moveset that you can do that leads to a lot more creativity in how you deal with the opponents you're dealing with. By comparison, a lot of the time when I was playing Holobreak, it basically just amounted to hit the 5-hit combo, knock them down, walk up, hit the 5-hit combo. If they have invincibility, just dodge out of the way, hit them from behind. It was mostly the same combo over and over and over again, and there wasn't enough freedom to do anything else. Basically, it's too simple. Too much for its own good. And you might think that, well, the sub-weapons could help deal with that. Yeah, but the sub-weapons, while good for crowd control and helping deal damage, they're not really a good substitute for core gameplay that maybe should be there. And to be clear, I'm not trying to say that this game should just be Shredder's Revenge. This game should be its own thing. I like the idea of the sub-weapons and the like. I like the idea of having the fans in there. But it feels like these weapons, and especially the fans in particular, they feel like a crutch to deal with the fact that you just don't have the options that you would in other games. Right? They feel like a substitute for just having those mechanics. And I think if they did just give us those mechanics, this would be, you wouldn't need to have these allies with you. You could probably just play the game single player without needing to have all of them there to help bail you out. That, I think, fundamentally is the biggest problem with this game. Its core loop is too simple for its own good. Now, the little issues this game has. There are design choices that are very strange in this game, or just feel counterintuitive. Thing one is the equipment. So you get varying equipment to level up. They give you extra stat boosts, you know, and different effects. Some will give you super armor, some will apply burns, some give you healing properties, and you know, that's neat. It's a bit of customization. Here's the problem. Stat boosts mean a whole lot more than the actual abilities those equips get. Like, by late game, enemies start dealing damage so much higher that you kind of just want to focus on boosting the stats more than anything else. So what I found ended up happening was I would play the game, I would, you know, grab whatever equipment I got early on, and then I would just max level up that weapon every single time, just boosting the stats over and over and over again. I wouldn't bother like experimenting because it didn't feel like there was a point. having higher stats was more important than the unique abilities that those equipment gave you. It also meant I just didn't waste time, you know, with buying consumable items or sub-weapons, because again, those dropped in the stage, so there was no reason for me to ever bother trying to buy them from the shop. The only time I think I would want to buy sub-weapons or different health options is at the very last stage before the final boss, where you might be, you know, deprived of healing items, or you might just want to get a quick stat boost and the like. Ironically, though, Nodoka, who sells you items and weapons, isn't at the final level. Kyla is. She's there to give you a last bit of upgraded stats, but Nodoka isn't, which was it's a very strange decision. I feel like she should be there, and I know it's very ironic for me to say that right now, but by the end of the game, if you want to get us, you'll have collected some equipment during the final level. Maybe you want to sell it to get some extra money so you can boost the stats for the equipment you are using right then and there, but you can't do that because she's not there. It's just a minor thing, but it's just a little strange that you would bother to have Kyla there and then not have Nodoka there at the same time. Now, another thing that was bothering me was also just how the game punishes dying. So in typical beat 'em ups, you know, you have a life system, so if you die, you just respawn immediately where you died, and then, you know, if you keep dying, you lose all your lives. Maybe you have continues. If you lose all the continues, then you are either sent back like a checkpoint, or you have to restart the level. That's fine. You know, it's standard. It's decent. Hollow Break doesn't have a live system, so to compensate, they just take all of your coins, you lose all coins, and you are immediately sent 2 rooms back. And that feels oddly punishing in this game. Yeah, you know, if you're good enough, you can easily get back there, but it feels weird to just it feels weirdly punishing to push the player that far back and have them redo all of that, especially if it's a situation where they've exhausted all of their items. Like when I was playing first time, I got to the final boss, I used up a good chunk of my items and weapons, and then I died, and then I had to not only lose all my money, but go 2 rooms back, and that's, you know, those are some of the hardest enemies in the game. They hit the hardest there, and have a shit ton of super armor as well. And it's like, okay, you have to do it all over again, and that was, you know, that's not fun. That's just annoying. And what's weird is that they already have a system to incentivize good play. You might be watching the gameplay and you'll notice, like, when the enemies get knocked down, there's a bunch of thumbs up, and when I get knocked down, there's thumbs down. And when you pause the game, first of all, the pause menu is depicted as a YouTube stream, so that's fun, that's cute, love that. But you'll also notice that there is a viewer count and a like and dislike count. The game tallies how many likes and dislikes you get throughout the playthrough, and that's determined by how many times you knock down people and how many times you get knocked down or get defeated. And at the end of the game, it takes your view count, your likes, your dislikes, and it tallies it all up, and it gives you a ranking, that ranking being like how many subscribers you gain. That's cute, that's cool. It incentivizes trying to get the highest subscriber count by playing as well as possible. That seems like a decent enough reason to not die. So, you know, again, getting killed and then having to go 2 rooms back and do the whole thing over, those 2 rooms all over again, feels weirdly punishing, you know? And alongside that, there's also the, I would argue, way more annoying fact, there's no way to save in the game right now. I've heard that they're gonna implement it, but yeah, there's no save function. And yeah, this, like, sure, this game isn't long, but it's not exactly a game where I feel the need to, like, binge, right? Or where I would want to just sit there and just sort of do, like, one full playthrough. And also just the simple fact that having the ability to save the game and come back later if you just want to play a little bit right now is nice, and it's a bit annoying to demand the player to have to do one full playthrough every single time they want to play the game if they want to keep what they have. That's just annoying. You know, there's also no New Game Plus, so you have to gain all of the abilities that you get from leveling up back each playthrough, so that's annoying. There is a hard mode, by the way. I didn't try it. From what I can tell, it's just harder enemies, which is fine. You know, that's the only reason I didn't try it, because I didn't think there was going to be much of a reason to. I just figured it was going to be a harder version of the main game, which it is. Sorry, a little bit of ADR coming in here. As it turns out, I'm a fucking moron. Hard mode does let you keep your abilities. So you don't have to level back up to get them again. You just have them automatically. So it is basically a New Game Plus, just with harder enemies. Ignore that. Strike it from the record. I was dumb. I should have just checked. But yeah, it's just a bizarre situation. It just feels very bizarre to me that in this game that, upon understanding how it works, is pretty easy, would have such a harsh penalty for dying. It just feels very bizarre, I suppose is the way to put it. Now, what else do I want to talk about? What else do I want to say? Oh yeah, different characters. As far as playstyles goes, everybody is pretty good, but there are two I don't like. That is Botan and that is Lue, because they use guns and they have finite ammo. Finite ammo for your basic attack. Why? Like, I get the idea, but the thing is that when they run out, they're then stuck in an animation of reloading and you are left wide open to be attacked. You know, just make them have less damage. I don't know, that feels, you know, no other projectile unit has this problem. Like, Laplas doesn't have it. She shoots projectiles. Overall, though, I think Hollow Break is decent, at least so far as what it currently is now. It looks great, it sounds great, and I think there are a lot of interesting ideas, but there's a lot of basic stuff that I feel should be in there, and I think the core gameplay, especially in single player, just isn't interesting enough to really stick around for. But that's the thing, that's just currently. This game has been getting updated frequently throughout the past week, like I said earlier, and it's going to keep getting updates as we go forward, especially with the implementation of multiplayer. That is probably going to boost this game quite a bit when it comes in. And in that regard, I think right now you might be better off just waiting for that. Wait for the updates, wait for the multiplayer, because at that point the game is going to be in a much better state. Look, I know I come across as very harsh here, and that it can be might seem a bit, I don't know, dickish to be like this, but let me be clear. I can see the love and passion for Hololive that has gone into this game. I can see the amount of work that has gone into this game, and I appreciate and I respect that. But I also want them to be able to improve. I appreciate how much effort they put in, but it's sort of because of that I want to be honest with how I feel about it. I want to tell them where I find issue with the game, so that it can be improved and that it can be better, and that when they do stuff going forward, it is better. I don't think there's any benefit from trying to downplay what my criticisms are, right? I don't know. Maybe I'm being a bit too harsh. Maybe the comments will roast me. I don't know, but I can only give how I feel, and this is it. Although I am curious to how you guys felt. Did you enjoy it more than I did? Did you dislike it more than I did? Is there things I missed? Things that would have made the game better for me? I implore you, put down a comment. Let me know, because I am curious. But that's all I've got to say on the matter. Maybe in the future, when the game gets to multiplayer, I'll come back and I'll talk about it again. But for the time being, that's all. I hope you guys are having a good day whenever you guys are watching this. But for now, I will take my leave. See ya. Oh yeah, and Holostars fans, don't think I don't know about Protostar Twilight. I'm gonna be playing that too, just you wait.